Gene, you addressed this in your note today where you said it has captured headlines, but we're missing the story. What's your take?
It's symbolic. The glass breaking is symbolic, really, of the Tesla story, which is twofold. One is trying to disrupt the status quo. You just would never imagine not only just the glass incident, but if you even rewind a few minutes before that, what was going on during that presentation, you just never imagine any company doing that. They do disrupt the status quo. Their cars are disrupting the auto industry. So that's the one piece of it. No CEO in their right mind would have done what Elon did with that. Separately, it's also representative of who Elon is, making some quick judgments that may not be in the best interest. I think about what's happened with Twitter and Elon over the last year and a half. And unfortunately, you have to take the bad with the good. When I watched it, it was painful to watch. And as I stepped back and kind of processed it and was talking to people more about it today, I think that incredibly, you're going to think that I'm tone deaf here, but I think there was actually a silver lining because some people thought it was really funny.
Well, Gabrielle, let me bring you in here because it might have been painful to watch in Gene Munster's words, but the fact is we are all talking about it today and we can't stop watching that video. Is that in and of itself a little bit of a success for Elon Musk?
I think so. I mean, I definitely don't think smashing the window was intentional. I don't know if that was a success, but I do think that the sort of radical nature of this car, the design of this car, it's drawn everybody's attention. In that sense, it is a great marketing success, I think. And I even spoke to a professor of design here in Detroit who said that he thinks it might actually even be brilliant. It depends, you know, the market will tell the tale, but it is seeming to appeal to a certain niche audience.
Well, and Gabrielle, let's talk about the appeal of that design. It's futuristic, helpful or hurtful for future buyers?
You know, definitely not something that appeals to traditional truck buyers, and I think that's why you saw Tesla's stock fall today, because the street was looking for something that could actually pose a real threat to Ford and GM and Chrysler, and I don't think anyone seriously thinks this is, but it does appeal to people who are into video games, and it is sort of just so. An interesting comparison was, think about GM's Hummer or even the Jeep Wrangler. Those are extremely functional, almost sort of, I mean, in the case of the Hummer, almost like an ugly but good-looking car that both have had extremely strong cult followings. So Elon, by taking that even farther, you know, extremely off-road, it might actually appeal to some people with the bragging rights that it provides.
Gene, who buys this? A Tesla lover or a truck lover?
A Tesla lover. I think this is going to capture a very small segment of the pickup market, very small, emphasize that. I think there'll be an SUV segment that will be captured within this too. It's 4 doors. I think that this kind of tech-forward type of person is going to initially be purchasing it. When we put it all together, this is how we think about the math, is that this product could add, we're calling it 5% to the overall business from kind of that weekend warrior, techie type of a person. Surprisingly, the car is, I think there's actually a lot of value in the car. Before they announced the price, my sense was that it was going to be closer to $70,000, and ultimately the average selling price may be closer to the mid-50s. So I think that they are trying to answer your question, open this up so it is relatively affordable. And ultimately, as I said, it should account for, call it 5% of overall deliveries for Tesla.
So, Gene, with the price tag right now that's about $20,000 lower than what you were forecasting, what does it do to the composition mix of profitability? So the last time you and I spoke, we talked about we wanted to see more S's and X's, high profitable vehicles to make up for a lower margin Model 3. Where does this new truck fit into that scheme?
I suspect this is going to be towards the very low end of the profitability, in part because if you look at what's happened with Model Y, for example, that's going to leverage a lot of the same manufacturing process and components of Model 3. In this case, we have a whole new vehicle design. It's a departure from their classic design language. And so I think that, and I feel like given some of the specs that there is I didn't see the interior of it, but my sense is that there is going to be some good value here, which is usually representative of a little bit lower margin. The good news for Tesla is that they don't need the cash like they did 2 years ago. They got $5 billion in the bank. They're only taking $100 reserves on this. And I think that 2 years away is so long that they don't have to worry about that gross margin question on Cybertruck yet.
Gabrielle, you heard a production target there of about 2021. I steal this from a co-anchor of mine who said that we have to account for a Musk-adjusted production target. Do we really believe 2021?
I think Tesla has come a long way in terms of getting its production ramped up. So, and also the other timeline to think about there is that both Ford and GM are going to be coming in 2021 with their electric pickup trucks. So I'm sure he won't want to miss it by too much, because that's when the kind of copycats are going to be out there trying to compete with him.